Hello everyone, my name is Laura. This is my channel, Laura's Little Library, and welcome to today's video, which is part 2 of my recent reads for this year. So as I said, I had another recent reads video go up quite recently, of all the books that I have read from my physical TBR this year, and so this video is complimentary to that, as all the books that I've read that I don't physically own, so these have all been read over audio, and they're just all the other books that I've read this year. I read a total of 30 books. Some of them are for class, some of them have been in vlogs, and so these are just the other ones that I haven't talked about yet on this channel. So let's get into them. The first book that I read, well, I mean, they're not really in order per se because they're just kind of all the other books, but I read Guild by Raven Kennedy, and I rated this 3 out of 5 stars. I was encouraged to pick this up by my friend, and he was actually very disappointed with the rating I gave it. But I am going to continue on with the next one because he's like, you got to keep reading, like it gets better, etc. and so forth. So I am going to continue on, but I did give it 3 out of 5 stars. I just felt it is one of those books where I feel like fantasy doesn't do this as often anymore, but you don't know what's happening. Like, the plot does not say this is the end goal, this is the big bad that you're fighting. With this book, it's literally just this girl touches things and it turns gold, right? It's like a King Midas retelling, but she is prisoner to the king and she has his special saddle, and so she is basically a sex worker to the king and is his prized possession because of it. And that's all you really know going into the book, because then it's like, oh, and then they go over here and then this thing arises and then this journey begins, but you don't know where the ending is. You don't know what they're working towards. It's just kind of events are happening, which is not a bad thing. I just typically like to know what's going on. So it's purely personal preference. I did not like reduce the rating because of it, but that did definitely affect my enjoyment of the book. I like to have some idea of what the purpose is for the end of the book. So I had a little bit tough. I felt like, there are a lot of themes that are being dealt with here that I think could have been better fleshed out in this first book, but maybe they'll be fleshed out more in books to come. I just thought the writing wasn't that great either. It just seemed very like, this happens, then this happens, and this, like, it doesn't flow as a story. It's very scene by scene, and just even the writing just feels like there's a lot of room for the author to grow with their writing style. So I'm not giving up on the series yet, mostly because of my friend, but yeah, it just wasn't my favorite, so I was like teetering kind of between a 2 and a 3 star. Then I have also read No Place Left to Hide. This is by Megan Lawley. This is Megan Lawley's second book. This is a thriller. I loved the first book. I own the first book, and so I knew I had to read this one because it came out earlier this year, and I loved it. It's a 4 out of 5 star. I didn't love it quite as much as I loved the first one, but I did still very much enjoy it, and I do want to add it to my shelf. It is just one of those like thriller books that just has a classic feel to it. You've got this girl who's got this dark past that you don't really know what happened, but she is getting harassed by somebody that she doesn't know about this mysterious event that happened, and she is just about to graduate and she's really looking forward to college. Like it's the perfect moment in life, but there's just that inkling from her past that keeps creeping up, and it's a thriller. And like I said, I really loved it. I would highly recommend this. I read it as soon as it came out. It's like, I say that it's a classic thriller in that it feels like the classic summer thriller. It's not a slasher, but it's the kind of thing to read in the summer. Same with the last one. Like, it's the listen to it in your car with the sun shining, windows down, or like at a lake house or whatever. It's like, that's the vibe, okay? And so I really enjoyed it. The third book on this list is one that was actually a book club book, I believe, and it is Of Jade and Dragons, and this is by Amber Chen. This is a first book, and And the second book is actually coming out quite soon. I will feature it in my anticipated reads video coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. I rated this 4 out of 5 stars. You have your main character who, her father was a very well-known engineer, except that he lives in the small town that she grew up in, and she decides that after he is mysteriously murdered, that she is going to go to the capital to be trained as an engineer and join the guild. She has always wanted to join the Engineers Guild, but of course they don't allow women, so she actually poses as her brother in order to train to hopefully be accepted into the guild. But going to the capital, you know, it's a big city, she's pretending to be her brother, but she is the daughter of this very famous engineer. And there's just a lot about her father's past that she uncovers, and it's really cool. It kind of reminded me of Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. So if you really like that, but you're looking more for women in STEM, or like with an engineering theme and a little bit of a darker mystery, then I would highly recommend Of Jade and Dragons. I enjoyed it so much more than I expected. Like, it also kind of reminds me of Kylie Lee Baker's book, The Scarlet Alchemist. It had that similar element of, I didn't think I'd actually be so into this book. So it just kind of felt like a book that I'm supposed to read because it ticks all the boxes of things that I like, rather than something I was actually super interested in reading. And then as I read it, I was like, oh my word, this is amazing. I love this. And I ended up really enjoying it. So 4 out of 5 stars to Of Jade and Dragons. I read a book called For She Is Wrath by Emily Varga. This was a book club book, and I rated this, I think, 3 out of 5 stars. Yeah, so this is a Pakistani cultural inspired book that is like a retelling of The Count of Monte Cristo, which I'm not super familiar with that story. But this book, I feel like it had so much potential. You've got your main character who has been counting the days that she has been in jail, and she's been in jail for a long time. She was strongly wronged. She escapes with somebody else, and then she has this huge revenge plan with a little bit of magic and her friend and a djinn that they are going to enact revenge for what they did to her. As soon as she gets out of jail and starts her plan, I felt like there was a huge flip in the attitude of the book and in the attitude of the character, and I just was not a fan. I don't think the book really fulfilled on the promise that it had at the beginning of the book for what the whole thing was going to be. So I was quite disappointed in that, and I just don't think that the romance part of it was executed well. I don't like how that was done. I think it could have been done so much better. It just felt too easy, like a cop-out, and that it wasn't executed properly, and I lost interest in it, but I was already so far in that I just wanted to finish it to see if it would change my mind. But all in all, I was very excited at the very beginning of the book, but then disappointed as it turned out to be kind of basic by the end of it. So the next one that I read is a duology, and that is Gilded and Cursed by Marissa Mayer. So Gilded and Cursed, they are Rumpelstiltskin's retellings. Like I said, it's a duology, 2 books. I rated both of them 4 out of 5 stars. I really loved these books because I loved the strong emphasis placed on storytelling in both of the books. I feel like a lot of the themes and character traits that were in the first book were carried into the second book, which I really love to see with series and duologies like this, because I feel like sometimes you get the first book is very rich in its uniqueness, and then the second book it just becomes so plot focused, but that was not the case with this. I really loved following our main character, who is blessed by the storytelling trickster god, and she gets herself into a bit of a situation with the Elder King, or, you know, the villain, saying that she can spin straw into gold, but she can't, but she is visited by a poltergeist who actually can, and so she has to make deals with him in order to spin the straw into gold, just like the fairy tale. And it just goes so much beyond that, and I loved it. Like I said, I loved all the little stories and the storytelling aspects in it, and the Norse mythology in it too. Talk about Tyr and all the different gods and things like that. Just, oh, it tickled me in all the right ways. I feel like the duology is a 5 out of 5 stars, but each book independently is a 4 out of 5 stars. It was really what I needed, the storytelling to get me through my busy day and my busy schedules. And then the last 2 books that I have read that I'm going to talk about very briefly here are the books by Madeline Miller. So it's Song of Achilles and Circe. So I read Song of Achilles first. One, because it was available to me over audio first, and two, because I thought it was the one I would like the least out of the two, and I was right. I rated Song of Achilles, I think 2 out of 5 stars. Yeah, 2 out of 5 stars. I really did not care for it as much as I was hoping I would. Our main character is like this kid who accidentally commits a crime when he's young, and he gets sent away, and when he's away he meets Achilles and they grow up together, and it is a queer romance between them, and it goes even into the stories of the Trojan War and things like that. I just felt like, I mean, it's slow, and I don't really like slow books, but again, I knew that going in. I knew it was going to be slow, but I wasn't feeling like much was happening, even when it was supposed to be they're forming a relationship or they're training. It just kept going on and on with like not much happening, and then by the end of it, it just got so political. And I do admire how our characters were stretched to change and grow, not just as they grow up, but like, you know, Achilles is this great guy, and then he goes off to the Trojan War, and he's like very depressed about all the killing he's doing and things like that. But I'm just like, there was so much politics involved that did not advance the story. I feel like it more so took away from the story, and I feel like the book just could not commit itself if it's a romance, if it's a political war story, if it's mythology. Like, I didn't like it as much as I was hoping. Circe, on the other hand, I rated 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed Circe. It is kind of the entirety of Circe's life. It starts off with her as the nymph, where she comes from, and then the things she does to create Scylla, and what she does to the sailor that she falls in love with, and then how she gets banished to her little island, and how she becomes the witch. And it includes Odysseus and everything like that. So it's not like one of those overarching plots, but it's just kind of her life. But I found that to be way more fascinating than Song of Achilles. I liked seeing Circe kind of grow into herself over the course of the story based on her events, what was available to her, and her interactions with other people. I just found it to be something that I was wanting to keep reading, wanting to keep listening to, and actually enjoying myself listening to. And I like the writing in both books, but again, I feel like the writing was better in Circe. I don't think the writing was quite as good in Song of Achilles. So there are just a multitude of reasons why I liked Circe more than Song of Achilles, but I can also see why people like Song of Achilles. It's just not my personal cup of tea. Those are all the books that I've read that I haven't talked about, that I don't own. So at this point, I feel like we're pretty much caught up in terms of like my reading life on this channel. So thank you all very much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below some of the good books that you've been reading lately. Comment them down below. I also have Bookish social media linked in the description below, so you can follow me there. Keep up to date with what I'm reading, like on my Bookstagram and things like that. And if you like bookish content like this, not only follow me on those other social medias, but also hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified. I post videos every week. So yeah, again, thank you. If you liked it, let me know, all that jazz. And until I see you in the next video, I wish you happy reading.